Good night and welcome to Mindful Live 192. I am your host Nathan Springer. Thank you for being here. We are streaming live on TikTok, on Instagram, and over on YouTube also. Yeah, we were out for the carnival weekend basically. The carnival weekend and, well, beginning of the week, the Monday and Tuesday, we weren't doing any of the live. So it was since what? What was the last live? The last live would have been last week, Thursday. So it's been a while. It's been a while since we were over here. Now, what happened in the meantime? Carnival, I guess. And today being Wednesday is supposed to be Tobago Day. What we usually do on the Mindful Life, being a part of the wonderful Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Woy, Tony the Ambassador. What's good? Good night, sir. Being a part of the wonderful Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, you know, we leave Wednesday specially for Tobago. But seeing as, you know, we were out for the whole weekend and beginning of the week, so we'll talk about some other things too. We'll, you know, discuss the carnival season as it passed. How did the carnival season treat all of you folks over in the live? What was it like? I saw that it seemed like it was a bit more contracted in many places, you know, not as big as many people forecasted it would have been, but I feel that's kind of predictable. I mean, the kind of violence that there is right now in Trinidad and Tobago, there's no surprise that people aren't very interested in running up and down in the streets all willy-nilly. That sounds like a little sketchy thing to do in our dangerous paradise, the dangerous paradise that we live in. So there was some sketchy stuff, but the police though seem to have said that they had things by and large under control. Lots of the violence that happened over the weekend happened kind of before actual carnival started. This Saturday, I think like 7 people were murdered, but then during the actual days on the streets, it didn't seem like it was that drastic. But something to always keep in mind, blessings Otis OT3 over there on Instagram, something to always keep in mind is that they don't report every incident that happens. If you are from certain areas, hey, True Ninja, what's going on? Interesting, so what's going on? What's the good? Yeah, if you are from certain communities and you might be privy to certain occurrences in your community, you may know that in reality the police the news doesn't report nearly all of the occurrences that happen in and around, all of the violent occurrences that happen. Blessings I. So we don't know everything. Good evening, Scafty. Good evening. We don't know everything that happened, but the police said by and large it was, you know, a good passing. Good evening, greetings, Sir RL says, in all my years of being alive here, I never realized most carnival events is funded by the state. Oh, you never realized that? Tony the Ambassador says I was flabbergasted with Watson Buchanan's entanglement. I wasn't really. The craziest thing about that was the way it seemed like so many of the parties involved wanted to milk some fame out of this embarrassing popularity. Like to me, if I was popular for something like that, that was the time I needed to, you know, dress back and take a little introspective look at myself. But, you know, people do what people do. Good night, buds. But yes, RL, a lot of events are sponsored by the state. Now, I could understand some of this, and looking at it even with the Tobago side in mind, I could kind of understand what some people think about when they're thinking about the state sponsoring these things, and why the state sponsoring these things to some people may be a good idea. You see, the idea is, if the state sponsors the general event, the state throws out the money to get the street parade or whatever going, the idea is that the general population would be able to make back the money that the state spent as it will, make back that money by the economic activity around the event. So the idea is that the state is sponsoring it to some extent, but the state is sponsoring it to help chain the economy to some extent. So Panorama, Soca, Monaco, all these things haven't been profitable since inception. Well, they haven't been designed to be profitable. Now, the thing is, do not get mistaken between some of those things and the fets. The vast majority of fets are private. They don't really get government sponsorship. If they want some other private sponsorship, that's between them and whichever private company wants to sponsor them. But by and large, the fets, those kinds of events aren't generally sponsored for obvious reason. They're about money making. And I've been saying this over the course of Nisi, and nearly sent out a search party, Nisi. Nearly sent out a search party. Yeah, I've been saying this over the course of this season. A lot of the reason I think like the Calypso tents and stuff are folding up now is because they were sponsored by the government, so they weren't part of the free market. They didn't have to go out there and make sure that their product was entertaining to the general public. They just had to make sure that the government kept funding them. And if the government stops funding, then the whole thing crumbles down, and you can understand that. So I think a lot of these things need to move away from the government funding and get into a more profit-based scheme. A lot of those things. I could understand the government funding in some things. So like if we go across to the Tobago news, I was looking at an article here. It's time for Tobago to earn money from Carnival, someone was pointing out. Whilst Trinidad was set to host the mother of all carnivals, the sister island of Tobago has been getting ready for a surge of visitors who will be escaping the mass or looking to cool down post-carnival. Trinidad has been the mecca of carnival in the Caribbean, and this year marked the return of the festival in grandiose style. While tens of thousands of people will be on the roads in the capital city, equal numbers are expected to be flocking to Tobago in favor of the sun, sea and sand. A heavy flow of visitors is also expected in Tobago from today, Ash Wednesday, until the weekend. The Express spoke to Chris James, president of the Tobago Hotel and Tourism Association, as well as the organization's former president, Nicholas Hardwick, who both said droves of visitors will be flocking to Tobago. However, a primary concern is what happens after the carnival surge. James said post-carnival, he would be able to get a better handle on the success of carnival in Tobago when the data is collected. However, he expects healthy levels of occupancy. James lamented that a major issue they continue to grapple with is insufficient flights. He said there are not many flights as existed in 2019. RL says, nah man, his carnival is almost 50 years old. How to do better than that? Tony the ambassador says, has to go back to grassroots. What surge of visitors? I still can't get US dollars in the bank. Where's the international money? Well, the international money may be here, but it may not be going to you. It's who has access to it. That's kind of what it has always been in Trinidad and Tobago, really and truly. You know, the crunch for Forex wasn't always just a matter of Trinidad isn't making Forex. It's just a matter of who gets access to the Forex. That's why I don't know if you remembered when, I believe it was a central bank governor, a former one, released a bit of information showing all of the major companies and how much Forex they got access to. Good night, positive radiation, and how much access they had to Forex. That was probably easily nearly 10 years ago, something like that. And one of them had something like 300 million upwards of there. So there is Forex in Trinidad and Tobago. It's just who has access to it. That's the major question. But looking at this from the Tobago point of view, and this was something we were speaking about in the Tobago talk since last week. Looking at this from the Tobago point of view, you could understand why government sponsorship inside of the event as it is could be such an important thing. Because for example, Tobago and the tourism sector, the tourism industry that Tobago has. The tourism industry is at the whims and fancy of what the government sponsors for the most part. If I am running some kind of something on the smaller end of tourism, a little small bed and breakfast, renting a room somewhere, trying to grow my business. Good night, Judd Mohammed. The reality is I don't have the resources, access or power or anything like that to have any real sway on who enters the island. I don't have an effect on that. I can't bring more people to Tobago or more people to Trinidad. That's something you're hoping the government can do. You're hoping that the government can put on an event. The government can put things in place to bring enough people here. And if the government, that's, Nathan, you saw the launch of Manta's Lodge. I didn't see the launch, but I read about it. Yes, I read about it. That's one of the hotels or something that was recently turned over to the THA. Yeah, I read about that. But to me, as beautiful as that is, that doesn't seem to be in the direction that Tobago is lacking. I don't know that Tobago necessarily needs much more medium to large, that kind of size accommodation, and that's what Tobago is lacking. I don't know that to be true. I don't. Nathan, you could lease it. Me personally could lease it for what? I have no idea what I'll do with that. That's problems. Like if it was that I had faith, and this is where governing is so important. This is where governing is so important. If it was that I had faith in the THE, that in Tobago government, in Trinidad government, that they were going to for sure bring in a flock of visitors so strong into the island, then for me, if I had access to the financing to be able to lease that, it's a no-brainer. It's sure money. Once I have access to the financing, then obviously I'd want to do that. And that's where on the governing side, that importance comes. That's not really up to the individual private people. So I understand the government side of sponsoring these things. You just have to wonder what really is the trade-off. So like with the government sponsoring the Calypso tents for the last couple decades, what was the trade-off? How many visitors came into the islands just for the Calypso tents? Are there many people coming just for the Calypso tents? Are we getting a good trade-off from that? For this Calypso tent event, the vendors outside, how many vendors that are auxiliary to the event also make money from it? How many people make money from that Calypso tent event? Is it something that makes sense for the government to put money into? Similar for the Soca Monarch. How many visitors enter the island exclusively because of the Soca Monarch? And if the government does not put out money for this, they don't come. How do we record this data? Well, there are many different ways to record those data. You would have to generally do a study, and it's not an impossible thing to do. It may be tricky, but it's not impossible. You could do a cost-benefit analysis of those events. I don't think that's impossible. You get a good economist and let them select their team of investigators. There are economic investigators that could find these things out. I don't think though that the government really cares to find the answer to some of those things. They don't want that answer, because I may not have a problem even if I don't agree with the festivity in and of itself. I may not have a problem if it is that the government is saying this is done for the benefit of the general public. That makes sense. True Ninja says only for the culture. That's a difficult thing to see. If it was only for the culture, then no one is really supposed to be profiting. If people are profiting, it becomes hard to say only for the culture. Good qualitative data will help in decision making. Yes, it will. The government knows it's not profitable. What data you want? Exactly my point. I don't think they're really curious about that data. Yeah, if it was only for the culture, then there won't be people profiting. But if you're telling me that all of this is only for the culture, but then I see people becoming millionaires off of the culture, then I'm saying, no, this isn't only for the culture. This is also for profit. Yeah, it's hard for you to tell me this is about the culture. You know, it's really about the culture. But then I look around and I see people really profiting off of it. That doesn't make sense to me. Those things don't seem like they go together. You understand what I'm saying? Nathan, people like free money. You don't have to tell me that. I am sure I understand that. As you're saying that, and the culture and free money and all of that, I saw that there was some bacchanal with the Chutney Soca Monarch. Ramraji upset over Caitlin's CSM victory. A Chutney Soca Monarch finalist and former CSM queen is condemning this year's results. Ramraji Prabhu took to social media on Monday to express her dissatisfaction in a post after placing second at the CSM Queen. Caitlin Sultan, who was only 10 years old, beat Prabhu for the title and came in 5th place overall in the competition. And you see, these kinds of things, these kind of problems happen when there's government sponsorship in something. When there's government sponsorship in something. So what is the government really sponsoring there? When the government sponsors the Chutney Soca Monarch, what are they sponsoring? Are they sponsoring the propagation of the culture? That's what they want. They're trying to see this culture go on further. Well, if that's true, then you would choose the winner based on who would propagate the culture best. So maybe you don't care about who sings the best song. You're looking for the young person that will go on into the future, and then okay, that's one thing. But if you're saying this is a skill competition and the government is sponsoring to see the best skilled performer of the culture, and then you have a little cute 10-year-old who comes up and does a cute something, but they aren't necessarily the best skilled person. You understand? And you're giving them prize money here. That's I think the Calypso Soca, the Calypso Monarch was what, $800,000 or something like that. Lots of money is being spent on these things. Long time I ain't seen Rhea in lives. Is Rhea okay? I don't know. I suppose Nisi might have some information on that. I don't know. But it's been a while. I suppose she's somewhere around. Probably busy with the season. Responding to Prabhu's comments, Kerry-Ann Sultan, Caitlin's mother, told The Express yesterday that she understood that emotions run high for Chutney Soca Monarch as it is the biggest platform for chutney artists over the past 3 decades. However, she said Caitlin's talent speaks for itself. Nah, she good. I suppose she was good. When I saw this, I actually found this to be an interesting point. I do find this to be an interesting point. A competition where a child wins. The child who, it could seem nearly as a novelty performance. And is it going to be now that parents know if they could get the cutest, nicest story and put enough props on stage, that's going to be the winner for these events? Or is it that you're really aiming at the most skilled person in the business? But to me, my apologies to people who are grand fans of the chutney soca genre. I have never personally, I have never really found the chutney soca genre to be that inspiring to me, nor entertaining, really and truly, if I'm being blatantly honest. It's not my cup of tea. It's not my cup of tea, personally. So I guess I don't know. I'm not sure how you judge some of those competitions, because I find I don't want to be offensive, but I find lots of these songs, I don't know how you pick good from bad or better from best in some of those, and I think that's because of the government sponsorship, and RL says it's embarrassing music, to be honest, and I think some of it is. I think it is embarrassing to the culture. It's embarrassing because, for example, Panorama is a difference, because there's pride in the winning of Panorama, and it's something, the legacy has that quality of music. When you listen to the quality of the productions coming out of Panorama, I think Trinidad and Tobago could make a global festival out surrounding Panorama alone. When you think that a couple dozen bands may be coming out with original big band music compositions every year, hours of compositions of original music, that's mind-blowing, and the quality is exceptional. I have nothing to say against that. You look at that, and then you look sometime at the Chutney Soca Monarch, and you're like, why is not that the genre of music itself, I don't like Chutney Soca and the style of music itself, I guess it's as good as any other music could be, but the quality of the lyrics and the effort that goes into it. And I've seen some classical Indian movies before. I like a good classical Indian movie here and there. And sometimes I sit watching a classical Indian movie and then I hear a song playing and I'm like, wait, isn't this the same melody as a specific chutney soca? And I recognize that these guys, not only are they singing raw basura as the lyrics, they aren't even putting effort into finding a melody. The entire melody, phrasing, rhyming scheme, everything is stolen from some other classical music. It's ridiculous. I don't find that to be very... Would you say the lyrics are mediocre? No. The mediocre is too high. Mediocre is too high. I'd say the lyrics are below mediocre. And when I look at the Calypso competition in and of itself, they were talking about the Calypso competition, and I believe it was kind of Legacy Youth won it. Or something O'Connor, like father, like son, son of Dwayne O'Connor, yes. His father won the Calypso Monarch before, and now he won it too. You look even at the Calypso. And to me, the quality of lyrics in the Calypso is going down. The quality of lyrics in the Calypso is going down. All of the, like, how many ways can you say Trinbago sweet, and we love Trinbago, and Trinidad nice, and our country's a paradise, and love your country, and love up the red, white, and black, and I like nation building songs as much as every other person, but let's get something creative. Put me on the edge of my seat. I want to listen to this song. I want to go back and find this song after the march. I want to go back and listen to this song. And that's what I think we're getting with the government sponsorship kind of thing. People understand that all I have to do is go and put on a show, sing some songs, and whoever the judges say on the day, that's good. If it was something where the patrons had to enjoy the show, so the lyrics had to be of a certain level, and that's the only way this thing would make money. Like, let that be it. Let that be it. The only way this makes money is if the lyrics attract enough patrons to come and view the show. And listen to me. Someone was saying they like Calypso, but it's not profitable. I don't agree. There are many people in Trinidad and Tobago that like Calypso. Many people, young and old. I see them regularly. There are people that play Calypso in their vehicles on a regular. People play Calypso coming out of their homes. There are people who would play a whole Dimash graph from 1982, but they will not dare set foot in the big tent or whatever they call it now, because they have no interest in what it is now. It isn't entertaining to them anymore. There's hardly any humor in Calypso anymore. There's hardly any. You listen and you're struggling to find something to laugh at. I was listening to the semis in Skinner Park, and I was like some of them have okay singing. I'm not going to lie. Some Good Night, what would be an example of a song that meets that requirements? DJ David, you're looking to get me in trouble. You're looking to get me in trouble saying examples. But let me say one that I remember from not too long. Hey, look Rhea, she in the house. I remember a Calypso from about a decade ago during the partnership time that Chalk does sang, and I could. To show you the effect of it, I could still remember the Calypso now. And the general idea of the Calypso was all of the crooks have the nook in Pembroke, and it's a family with the surname Crooks. But he's doing a word play, and he was saying that several politicians, that the old lady that is the matriarch of the Crook family, she says that she recognizes the Crook. She knows how to recognize their family, and was recognizing several members of certain governing bodies as crooks. And like the memory of that is still in my mind. There are Calypsos that stick with you like that because the lyrics and the melody, etc., they're just that sticky. I don't think we have that quality right now anymore. I don't think it's up to that quality, and I don't think that it's that Trinidadians have lost the ability to do that. I don't think Trinidadians have lost the ability to write, or all the good writers have died. It's not that. It's just what is being rewarded. People work on the incentive base. If what is incentivized is the most creative Calypso, people would create the creative Calypsos. If what is incentivized is just churn out the nation building and patriotic Calypsos, people are going to churn them out. They're going to churn them out, and people are going to tune out. So the requirement is the ability and skill to use double meaning. Not just to use double meaning. It's not only about double meaning. It's about being clever. The Rant of a Madman. For a nice example, Aleki. The Rant of a Madman. Beautiful song. And it's not only about double meaning. It's telling a story. Shadow. Where he spoke about Gomangala. Shadow and Gomangala. That is the man told a folklore story out of this. There was a good calypso this year I heard where one of the calypsonians was talking about stories told by John Agitation. It was a tribute to John Agitation, one of Trinidad's pioneer comedians, basically. And that was a good calypso. It had pretty good storytelling, but really and truly was retelling stories of John Agitation. I see what you say there, DJ David. King Liar by Lord Nelson. Big tune. That King Liar is a big tune. You can't deny it. And the thing is, even in the rudeness and smut that it had back then, not back then, the rudeness and smut that there is in calypso, when it's clever, it becomes like those comedies where a comedian is capable of saying sometimes the most offensive things, but because of the timing of the offense, instead of offending people, it shocks laughter out of them. You're like, oh my goodness, what, he just said that? And that's what happens sometimes with even these smutty calypsos. The cleverness throws it out there, and that's why the parents have to tell the children, don't even listen to that song, because they know the cleverness of the reception of that, it's going to catch them up quick. But now they don't have to worry about that. The songs, they're just, to me, I don't even find the quality that, like, I was very happy about the winner of Road Match. I don't play Carnival. I'm just saying it one time. But I was happy about the winner of Road Match versus the other contender. I found the other contender sounded like, and I'm a musician, so these things are things that, stand out to me. I found the other contender that was competing for Road Match sounded like a pop song. It did not sound like a soca song. Listen, I had a problem. We went through an era of soca rhythm, where we took the dancehall rhythm culture from Jamaica and brought it over to Trinidad and Tobago. And every year you would hear 10 songs on one soca rhythm. Now, I understand how studios work and studio time and money, and I understand why that is more convenient. I understand. Don't get me wrong. And we had some good rhythms too. Don't get me wrong. But I find that to really do the music right, you want to write a song that specifically fits to the music it was written for. The music is for the song and the song is for this music. It's just kind of a personal thing of mine. And then the problem with that rhythm style of writing is that very often you get songs where, I don't find they mesh perfectly. Like the second place song. You could have sung that song on Britney Spears rhythm, on a Britney Spears tune, on Demi Lovato tune. Any female pop singer, you could have sung it on the same kind of tune, and you couldn't have told the difference between if it was soca or anything else. Like the music, the phrasing of the song, the build of the song just didn't feel soca-ish. And I'm all for crossover. Don't get me wrong, crossover, do your thing, bring out the creativity. But I just found, if we're looking for real soca, Kevin says the authentic Trinidadian sound is the sweetest. You don't need these EDM drug haze songs. Akil Giles says, therefore would have been a great pick for Groovy maybe. Positive Radiation says they should all had a good calypso in the school's competition. I didn't hear that. DJ David 868 over on Instagram says not true. What is not true, DJ David? What is not true exactly that I said there? I'm not sure what would not be true. What would not be true? And as I said, I'm all for crossovers. Nothing is wrong with that. Music, that's how you create music. I mean, if there was no crossover, then soca itself wouldn't have been created. Soca is that infusing of the calypso with the Indian style music, with the chutney, and they fused it together with several other things. Shorty I, and he came up with the soul of calypso soca. So what is soca? What is calypso? Like, actually define it. Soca is defined as the soul of calypso. That's what it was named after by its inventor. What was Shorty I's first name? Garfield Blackman. Garfield Shorty I Blackman. Come Home can be sung over as a pop song. Yes, it can be. So soca, that's where it came from. It was infusing calypso with the chutney rhythm. So the general beat, like, soca 101 is this. That simple beat, that is soca. Play that beat over anything and you have soca. So I'm not saying that the song is not soca, but I'm talking about the general build of the song. It's created more like a regular pop song. Part of the song, yes, but not the entire song. Yes. Rhea Ward says difference of opinion. Come Home was great. It was more of a mix of both groovy and power. Rhea says the fact that it had a relatable storyline, it hit home for a lot of persons. It's like rap so. Yeah, but rapso is calypso and that more hip hop style beat they put in there. So rap beat inside of calypso. So that's the fusing of rapso on that side. I challenge you, sir, to sing over Come Home as a pop song. I don't know the lyrics. If I knew the lyrics, I could pull out my guitar here now and sing over Come Home as a pop song. You could just strip away the rhythm. Take away the rhythm from the background and it's already a pop song. If you hear Come Home a cappella and you don't hear the rough voice of, what's his name? Problem Child? Is it Problem Child? If you don't hear the rough voice and you just hear that a cappella, you will not guess it was a soca. That's all I'm saying. You will not guess it was a soca. Jillian says Nyla has been experimenting with soca and making it poppy for a while now. Yes, and more power to her. And I understand why, I don't know if it's just her or her and her team. I understand why they might do that. They will do that, Skinny Fabulous. They will do that to get the outside appeal. That's how you know... There's a problem sometimes with the soca that is created for Carnival. Sometimes that soca is made for the Trinidad audience and they get problems to make it into a more international brand selling something. So if you could make it, right, Skinny Fabulous, my bad. If you could make it into a more appetizing thing for the international market, it makes sense. It makes sense. They will be able to sing that song besides just jumping on the road. I understand that. And I'm not knocking her for it, you know. I'm not knocking her for it. I'm just saying, in my opinion, of you know, as I go down in age and you know you get brown down in what you like and what you prefer, and the general build of soca, how soca generally builds, how soca generally flows, it doesn't seem very soca-ish. That's my opinion. Blessed Night Flame On, Nathan, how to write calypso? It's according. There are different ways to write calypso. If you're looking for the real original kaiso, there's the call and refrain. So almost surely there must be that call and refrain. It's a 4/4 beat, so you have the 4 lines, 4 bars. Donna Hadai says I agree with you. Thank you. DJ David says, but I can get the acapella, I can get hardfet as well, a host of others. As I said, define soca or calypso. I just defined soca, and I have a video defining calypso. I do these things more than once. I have a video defining calypso, talking about the history of calypso, where it came from, the call and response kaiso. I believe one of the original words came from, what do you call that language in West Africa? Came from West Africa, and then it came over here. One of the first Kaisonians was a guy, Grogin, that came over from St. Lucia, I believe, to Trinidad and Tobago. He was a French guy. The first calypsos were made in French. I could tell you about those things. I'm not asking that. But what you'd have to understand about calypso and soca is it's It's a living thing. It's a living music. It's hard to say that the definition of soca has not changed from since the 70s. Obviously, it has changed, and it would continue changing. That's the nature of it. Groovy soca, power soca. These aren't things that were there in the original visualization of soca. So yeah, there are changes. Nathan, Calypsonians should be able to extempo. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Like, I am partial. For me, personally, my opinion, I find you shouldn't be called a calypsonian if you cannot write a calypso. Personally, I find then you're a singer, you're a performer, you're not a calypsonian. But there are many people called calypsonians who don't generally write calypsos. And if you're not a writer of calypsos, then almost surely you won't be able to extempo. To extempo, the general art of freestyling and extempoing works because you have so many words already practiced in your mind, so many lines already practiced in your mind, it becomes easier. DJ David says, if is a fusion by definition, how is it different from the current fusions? Okay, so you could have, all right, because soca is a fusion doesn't mean that you could fuse anything to it and it remains soca. So there are alloys. There are alloys of metals. If you mix copper with tin and iron, you get brass. Is that it? Copper, tin, and iron, you get brass or something like that. Or is it bronze? Whatever. It isn't a shorting in my mind. Don't take my word on that. But you could mix metals and get an alloy. And yes, it's a mixed metal that gives you this alloy. If you just go and randomly add some other metal to it and fuse it, that doesn't mean that you still have the same alloy because it was already a combination, a fusion of different metals. It changes the makeup of what it is. It changes it. So yes, or it already was a fusion. That's how it was created. But it wasn't just a fusion, and it was a fusion of specific things. Did they change the style of extempo in recent years? The rhythm sounds different. I don't know. I don't think so. Artists tend to make their songs to reach the outside market. If you hear a hint of pop, you may be right. Yep. Nathan, can you extempo? To me, you are a walking dictionary. Yes, I can extempo. I don't know how well right now, but I have extempoed before and I can extempo. Ooh, I used to write songs, you know. Quite a few songs. Jillian, they added a freestyle competition this year. And DJ David, I hope you understand that what I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm against people fusing music. How old am I? Early 30s. I am all for people fusing music. By all means, do that. That's beautiful. And I am of the view, I kind of like, to some extent, how Marshall does some of what he does. And I really like what Bunji does. Bunji, you could see that this man is experimenting with his taste in the soca and trying to cut out his own flavor out of it. And it makes sense, especially as you grow in the music. If you're a musician, if you're someone really interested, no, let's not do that positive radiation. If you're someone really interested in the music, if you're someone really interested in the music, you will grow in music, you will try different things, you will experiment, and more power to you, you should. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm talking about this year and my opinion in terms of what I like hearing about soca. J-Lion extempo, it really did sound different. I thought I alone noticed that. I didn't listen to the competition, so I don't know. I didn't listen to it. DJ David, so what is a good bass? A good bass? I'm not sure what you mean by a bass, DJ. No matter what they say, the Waterlord is a good performer. That is very true. And that is a skill. I always remember, where was it? UE, I think I was in. And I was walking up past during the carnival season back then, especially, we had a lot of events. And they had some event in the car park and some people were performing and nobody was really taking on what was going on. And then all of a sudden I just saw that like the crowd got electrified. I was walking past and the crowd just like, electricity passed through the crowd. And I'm like, what's going on there? Look to the stage and I see this one guy with a small bottle of blue water spinning so. And I'm like, wow. One bottle of blue water doing all of that? And it's a skill. It is a skill. You can't take that away. They are performers. And the nature of what this festival is there's a lot of live performance in it. If it wasn't for live performance, if it was just a matter of vocals and your vocals had to be on point, Waterman wasn't making it. What are your thoughts on Irfan Alves' contributions? I don't have a conscious thought in my mind of what his song this year is, so I don't want to speak on that. I'm not sure. I didn't follow every single soca song like that. But by and large, I find Irfan is usually solid, musically, usually. You get generally some solid offers from him every year, musically solid stuff. Oh yeah, the water guy, he's all performance. And shocked that he doesn't win anymore. But I mean, you're a great performer, but there must be something more than performance inside of the mix too. Performance alone can't do it. Nathan, can you arrange for Panorama? I would like to say yes. I'd feel like I can. I feel like I can. I have written songs before. I have written music before. I feel like I can, but I know it wouldn't be as easy as, just wishing it in. What are your thoughts on Young Arrangers? Beautiful. Love it. I like young people in music on a whole. Youth in music gives a different flavor to the music too. Like, how you experience music changes with age, As you get older, which hormone is it? One of your hormones that allows you to enjoy new experiences more readily. One of them decrease, and it decreases your ability to enjoy new things as readily. That's why many older people, their favorite music is the music they listened to when they were in their early 20s or something, and that just remains as their favorite music. So what could happen with young people involved in creating music too? You really get that creativity there, because they aren't set in stone in something like that. Sometimes you hear, I remember reading something a while back talking about inventors, and they were talking about the fact that many inventors actually come from outside the field of expertise that they are inventing in. Because if you have someone who's an expert in cars, they would think inside of the car box. They learn everything there is to know about cars that currently exist. But if you have someone looking to create a car that never existed, you might want someone thinking outside of that box. So young people sometimes could give you that. Vocally speaking, Kes is a cut above the rest in my humble opinion. Yes, Kes vocally is, but do not be mistaken. Marshall Montano vocally, I'm not talking about skillful vocals in terms of doing riffs and runs with your voice, but just in terms of control and doing what he wants with his voice, allowing his voice to be under his control. Very few people, if any, are on his level with that. Bungie is pretty good at that too. Sometimes people think of vocal talent and think sometimes only about people with the high vocal range. They could reach high in tone and do thrill things with their voices. Sometimes a coarse voice that is very well controlled is you can't imagine the benefit of that. Like what Buju Banton does with his voice is a skill. Beside having the natural ability, that's a lot of skill too. Is the curiosity aspect. Whitney Houston types, yes, agreed. Like yes. All of that. Using your alloy reference, certain things put together with certain ratios create an alloy. I'm asking, what is a good ratio or reference? Oh, for soca, like the original bass soca. If you go back to the original bass soca, it sounds very janky. Original soca, when it was now being formed, what was these Rash Shanti Oi? Shanti with Rash Shorty. That's like some original soca. You could go back there and you're hearing the music crawling its way over from being calypso. To a new genre of music. So you could go and listen that and follow it coming through. I don't know what would be a good bass in terms of the exact ratio of mix. I don't know. Yeah, I could say things in terms of my preference, but to say like what is the bass of soca, I don't think I could say something like that and give an example. What is the perfect mix? I could talk about my preference in it. My preference is generally heavy on the calypso. Heavy on the calypso in the infusing into soca. That's my preference in soca. More calypso feel. If I could sing, when you say Nathan, you could sing. If you mean I could sing, yes. I could carry a note. Yeah, heavy on the calypso. And because the calypso makes it more melodic. Like one of the perfect crossovers into the like from, I'll speak subjectively, so stop ducking me. I welcome storytelling in the songs. Me too. One of the perfect calypsos to me, and I find the calypso has some soca in it, is, to me, the most catchy of nearly any song I've ever heard, is Lauren. Don't Cry, I Leave In. What's the proper name of that by Explainer? That song is like a drug. Every time I hear that song, it's like it's stuck in my head whole day, every day. It just cannot come out, ever. And it's just the structure of the song. I think if you're looking to build, that's some structure you're looking for. You get good storytelling, get good melody, and heavy on the calypso. If you're looking to build on the rhythm side, you're looking to build modern soca, here's a good place to start. What was that rhythm? Was it the 3-0 rhythm? Was it the 3-0 rhythm back then? That with the live music, the live band, I think that was the 18 played that rhythm. That, if you're looking for a good bass for modern power soca, go back to that 3-0 rhythm. You're looking for horn shadow as well. Yeah, looking for horn shadow is a really good expression of that call and response style of calypso. But if you're looking for the evolution, let me see if I could pull up that rhythm. I hope it doesn't have any copyright on that kind of thing, you know. Don't hit me any kind of copyright strike stuff there. But that rhythm to me was one of the pinnacles of the modern soca genre. The 3-0 rhythm. I don't know how many of you might remember that. Let's see if I could pull that up. With you and a bottle of rum. I really wish we continued that acoustic song. Me too a bit. Let me just play a quick thing of the 3-0 rhythm, the beginning. That, the rhythm, not the song is whatever. That rhythm, if you're looking for a good bass for modern soca, that's the rhythm. That's the rhythm right there. You ready for press conference at Rowley 2:30 tomorrow? I'm not ready at all. I'm just interested to see what he would have to say. And if you listen to that, like the point I was making on soca, what is soca? As I said earlier, soca is just that rhythm is what soca is, the beat behind it. But if you listen to the whole build of the song, you're hearing that the music builds it. Soca is party. Huh? What about Hall of Fame Michael Tasia. I'd have to get a refresher of that. What that rhythm sounds like. Because I do not have that at the top of my head. What's that? Yeah. Yes, yes, I know the song. Yeah. Biggest calypso is Shadow Stranger. And that song, the Michael Tasia, is very, very. You get that 90s soca feel from that. From his, like, if I were to put a progression in the soca, I'll say his feel of soca songs even earlier than the 3-0 rhythm. The 3-0 rhythm sounds like a build on top of what his song is. His songs 90s, nearly with the island invasion, kinda that rhythmic what was that? What was the island invasion guys again? The Bajans that came and sang all this song in the 90s and stuff. But it has that kind of feel to it. Biggest calypso is Shadow Stranger. Listen, if you're talking biggest calypso, I am sure you would get debate forever in Trinidad and Tobago on that. As a musician, you would be inclined to the live stuff, so your opinions make sense. Yes, that's true. I am biased. As a musician, I am inclined to the live stuff. No doubt about that. I am, without a doubt. The Change Key and All in Hall of Fame song did fabulous. Yeah. And I am biased to the music because I'm a musician, yes. But I find it is music, like, isn't that the idea? Isn't that the idea of what it's supposed to be? You're putting out your effort into the music. That makes so much more sense to me. Just makes a lot more sense to me. I was shocked my bands didn't use it. I like voice relay, but a lot is samey. Yeah. That's I'd see that comment and I was gonna say that. Yeah. He isn't the only artist that has run into that problem. He isn't the only artist that has run into that problem. And if you're someone who writes your own music, that's even a square one. Yes, square one is who I was talking about. That's pump me up on the music and all of that. Yeah. If you write your own songs, that's something very easy to fall into. And there are some people who all of their songs could sound like another verse in the same song. Like you could attach all of the songs on one after each other and it would just sound like one long same song. You should interview Tasia, though he did a series attributing the culture as a promo run for Hall of Fame. Okay. I wouldn't mind doing that. I do conversations, so I could do that. Sparrow sang about that with the mighty Douglas. Yeah, that's a problem that many people that's a problem that many people fall into. I remember looking at an interview a long time ago with Kitchener, and he was talking about when he was in England, and he had to be producing new songs on a weekly basis. Like, I can't remember the number, but it was insane. Like, an insane amount of new songs every week. He just has to keep writing. And he said one of the things he did was he wouldn't listen to his old songs because he's trying to keep fresh with it. If you want to keep fresh, it's something you have to go and seek out. I remember, for example, Marshall Montano did this in the 2000s, and that was a smart thing on his part. He reached a stage in his career where things were starting to seem formulaic a bit. So what he did, he latched on to everyone who was an up-and-coming talent. In the early 2000s, everyone who burst onto the scenes in the mid-2000s ended up with Marshall in the HD band and went touring with Marshall. Anyone who came up and was big in the earlys went out early. What do you think about young brother? They went out with him. And what that helped to do is you have, just as I was talking about with the young creativity, your creativity may be aging. DJ David, don't fall back at all. I like it. You don't have to fall back. the young creativity would help to rejuvenate what you have. It would help to rejuvenate what you have, and that's something that you'd have to be able to work out. And especially if you have a good voice, like Voice has a good voice, so you would write songs trying to show your voice. And if you write songs trying to show your voice in the same way, all of the songs would start sounding the same. It's like Jacquio had a bit of that problem at one point in time. There are a couple of Jacquio songs that seem kind of indistinguishable from each other because he wanted to display his vocal talents, and the vocal talents were displayed in the same way in all of the songs, so it kind of sounds like the same thing. What about Nadia Batson endurance or Nadia Batson? We would Nadia Batson is a solid performer. I don't know if I'd read her necessarily in the top, my opinion, in the top, but she's very solid. What I think about Good Night, Brother, what I think about Young Brother, I think Young Brother works hard. I honestly think he works hard. All right, we would Nadia. Young Brother works hard. I will not take that away from him. He works hard. His style of music isn't particularly what I favor to listen to, but I fully understand. No, I'm not just being nice. I fully understand the appeal of Young Brother. I have watched his videos, I've watched his lives, and the man energy is infectious. I could see why it could become nearly like a popular culture thing to listen to what he's doing. It is infectious. The energy, the wildness, and Trinidad. Listen, it's not the first time Trinidad has had that kind of wildness. There was a guy, Bower Mother. I don't know how many of you remember him, Bower Mother, who came out with a slap chop song. When the slap chop little machine came out in whenever 2000 and whatever, he came out with a song singing about slap chop nonsense, and people enjoyed it. Trinidadians like a certain level of wildness, so the fact that he sustains it, he has made a career out of it, and what he does is he keeps on the edge of what is popular in the online scheme of songs, is and what is popular there, and then pushes his own rhythm on it. That makes sense. It's a good business plan, and he works hard. I'll put that there for him. All right, let me see the we would I like it. But here's my problem, DJ David. This sounds like probably 4 other Nadia Batson songs. It sounds good, but it sounds like, to me, like 4 other Nadia Batson songs could be played, and you're not, if you're not familiar with her songs, you won't know the difference. She sang a few songs with this kind of doom, the delayed deep bass. She has a few songs like that. You never had a girl make it. Oh gosh, it's real story there, and I not being sarcastic. Young Brother is energy and vibes, and one of the rawest forms. Yeah. He is energy and vibes. That's why I say I understand why he's popular. I'll never, like some people say they don't understand. I understand perfectly well why Young Brother is popular. I understand. And as someone who does online stuff, as someone who is in the online sphere, some people discount the consistency. Some people discount the consistency factor. To be consistent isn't easy to do. The consistency, I'll see that just now, positive radiation. The consistency factor isn't something necessarily easy to do. That is a certain level of discipline. That is something that shows a positive side. So Trinidad genre seems to be slowly fading. Why do you feel so? I don't know if it's slowly fading, but during the carnival season, you could understand why it may dip a bit. The carnival season, has a certain kind of flavor to it, so you could understand why it would dip. For me to say that it is really fading, I'd have to wait to see after the carnival season passes what people will be willing to do. Most underrated track this season was done by GBM Ramage. Yes, I actually did hear the GBM Ramage. I did hear that. What you think about Trinidad and its culture? Like sometimes I wonder, and I said this before, how much of Trinidad is influencing culture, and how much of Trinidad is influenced culture? Is it just a reflection of what exists, or is it something that is pushing something? And I think it would be a mix of both. It's a feedback loop. So the Trinidad culture is created because that's something that exists in Trinidad, and the Trinidad culture fuels more of that similar behavior. So that's why banning it and stuff, I think, won't work. Carnival is about merriment, and that genre doesn't translate well for that feeling. Correct, I guess. It doesn't translate very well for that. True bands don't work. And pop music for Trinidad is basically Jamaica culture and American culture. Yeah, I don't deny that. But isn't that what pop music generally is the world over? Like, I was just looking for another one quickly. And DJ over there on Instagram. Can't you hear the similarities here? Like, okay, I'm playing We Woulda. Grab a next one, Endurance. It's literally nearly the same thing, just slowed down. The same doop doop. The same kind of zook, as someone was pointing out there rightfully. The same kind of vibe. It's very similar. It's very, very similar. And it's not a knock on her, but it feels similar to me. Off topic question, what race car are you saving for, dude? Race cars that cost sense. Moisture appreciator, good night. Hey, Empress Rooney, look who's now walking in. How to make soca and calypso more profitable. Listen to what the audience wants. To make soca more profitable, it needs to be more available year round. To make that happen, people have to want to listen to it year round. So I think Bungie Garlin probably did more for soca than most other people in the industry, because the kind of soca that Bungie makes, the kind of soca that Bungie makes is soca that people listen to outside of carnival season. Bungie's songs play in games, they play, for example, in the NBA stadium, all of that. Yeah, you have that wider reach, I think, if that's what you want to do with the soca. Calypso, I think, it's just a matter of making it accessible and making it clever again. If they are clever calypsos, people would gravitate to it. That's all I think there is to calypso. No pop music is defined as popular music. So what pop music is here is not what pop music is in America, which is not what pop music is in Venezuela. Yes and no, DJ David. Pop music is defined, yes, as popular music. Pop means popular. But also, if you take up a drum machine, and you scroll the drum machine, there would be on the drum machine something called a pop beat. there is a genre of music with a certain kind of beat, literally called a pop beat in music, in like all music. There's pop. So when so when you hear people talk about Michael Jackson being the king of pop, and then you hear people talk about Elvis being the king of rock and roll. Rock and roll was popular music back when Elvis was there, but they didn't call rock and roll pop. Pop is a very specific genre with a certain beat also. Do you think there's a mafia Trinidad music industry? Yes, obviously there is. Positive radiation, but black man feeling to party played anyway at any time, moving everybody. Correct. There are some elements to them that are ubiquitous. DJ David says, I disagree. Bungie is too festival oriented. Like, I mean, you have a DJ name over there, so I could understand that view from you, but I don't see that. I am not a festival person. And I could tell you, from the most not festival people, if you look at the people who go to Fets de Lis, the artists they may listen to the most, maybe Bungie, generally speaking. If you look at the music that is played in outside of the fet and party scenario, how many soca artists are in the FIFA game? How many soca artists have bridged that gap? How many soca artists? I'd say not many. Not many. I don't know of any besides him. So I don't understand how you'd say he's more festival oriented there. Who has a better outside appeal than Bungie does? I don't know who I would rate as that. His song with Junior Gong, what was the song with Junior Gong? Some Badman Gunman something. It's you see that crossover ability much more to me with Bungie versus who else? Like, who would you even put in that category as someone, as a soca artist that you see and experience outside of that carnival season? Who? Good content, bro. Keep up the good work. The soca this year was terrible. No good dancing music. Barney Rubble says. Maximus, maybe, but Maximus isn't near the size and consistency as Bungie, you must admit. That is a conversation territory. Understandable, DJ David, understandable. But to me, I don't see anybody up there. I don't see anybody that has that kind of crossover appeal. All right, people, it was nice. We talked music. Any further questions or comments? I like talking music too, you know. Music was one of my first loves. Differentology, that alone shows the man is a genius. Yeah, differentology was different. That's some good stuff. He sings a easily identifiable brand of soca. You could listen to a Bungie song and be sure, okay, that's his song. While at the same time, all of his songs don't sound the same. That's a good thing. Kenny Rogers says soca needs to evolve from just a one season kind of feel. Many talented artists locally can explore the music of the world. Honestly, I think Irfan over Bungie, Kes over Bungie. All right. I wouldn't say Irfan at all. So I'll put that down plain. Irfan, no. Kes, in terms of the crossover, Kes, yes. Kes, not over Bungie, but Kes, yes. But Kes is still more festival oriented than Bungie. All of Kes's music sounds like festival music. It sounds like if you're playing that, you're going to play it in Mexico, Hawaii, or something like that during a festival time. Nearly all of his music comes across with that island festive kind of feel. So he is more festival, I think. Take on Irfan recent contributions like last year's. I do take in, and I take in Irfan regularly, and his music is good, his music is quality. But he doesn't generally cross over to outside of the soca season like that. No. Like, it's like this to me. If I'm looking, Kes music is baby making music. Son Bungie is like comparing a Jeep and a Ferrari. Yes, I kind of see that. But it's like, to me, if I'm when I'm talking about that crossover style, that ability to appeal to a wider outside of carnival market, if you're seeing a massive world music festival being held in Barcelona, who do you think from the soca world is most likely to be there? Marshall, probably, because of just his size. And I don't take that away from the guy. I give Marshall his full credit, and the man been doing it for years. Grand. But beside him, who else there generally? I would put mostly Bungie at the highest there. He brings that world music kind of feel to it, I find, to me. Yo, Roni, what's the good?
Hello. Hi. Are you hearing me? I can hear myself.
I hear you real good.
Okay, great. And I'll come from a little cool down me.
Your tongue Roni, your tongue sounding slightly heavy, eh?
Because it is. No.
Careful what you say.
And I just want to say this. I think the intentionality. No, let me say that. I want to say this, right? I think we are killing our culture. Let me start by saying, right? It started Panorama when they decided to let bands play old music. I don't care what nobody say that it's the detriment of soca. Because I'll be honest, I don't even know if I've been off on a tangent right now. I really don't know what happened. But that's something I always had a problem. I feel like now people getting lazy, creatives getting lazy. Back when I used to be a currency or something, bands used to, like composers used to meet with artists to make music. And now what it's saying is, oh well, they don't have no pan music. So what it's telling me is in 50 years time, we still gonna be hearing sugar boom boom money pan.
No. Yeah, I don't believe that. The thing is, every year you wouldn't get a whole lot of pan music. You might get one good pan song, and they took Olatunji song, one of the bands that they're doing some new ones. The thing is, here what you have to understand about that. You have to understand how the industry works. So for the artists, I could go and get a producer as an artist. I could get a producer to make a rhythm for me, and all I have to pay is the producer. All I have to pay is the producer. He makes that rhythm for me. I pay him to jump on the rhythm, and I good. Versus, if I want a real musical track, I'd have to pay a composer. I'm going to pay each one of the musicians, the guitarist, the drummer, the bassman, the keyboardist, very likely if it's that kind of music, the whole brass team. And the cost of making those songs is just so much that many people are not going to go out of their way to do that. They're going to go for the cheaper alternative to just be able to churn out songs. And then as a pan man, you don't want to have to take somebody's boring churned out song that doesn't have the musical variety to give you a nice complex creation. It doesn't have what you need from it. You don't want to take that and try and create a whole new concerto over that, because it's too much work. You take one of these boring songs that has the same melody for the chorus and verse over and over and over, and you try and make a pan song out of it, and you would have to do over the whole song, and now nobody knows what song you're playing anymore. So in order to avoid that, let's go back to guys like Kitchener. Kitchener was making songs for the purpose of pan. So I think you're blaming on the wrong side. It's not the pan men's side first that they're not using the modern music. It's the modern musicians' fault first that they're not making modern music conducive to the pan men making songs from it.
That's what I'm saying. Composers used to work with the artists long time. Now we don't have that.
It's money.
But yes, I understand what you're saying. Because look at all the back when bands was a big thing. You had almost every artist had a band. Now it's just with them, and I hate that. Like, oh my god! As I said, the creativity, but then the artist is dead.
Ready? You come in and say something there that I actually said way nearly at the beginning of the live. I was speaking about the era in our soca music in the 2000s when we borrowed that idea from Jamaica, the dancehall idea, where you're riding a rhythm and then everybody just started ride rhythm, and I find that ridiculous. I find it lacks creativity. I agree with you there. I totally agree with you there. The thing is, to get a band costs money. And it's much easier to just have a track, go and give a DJ, tell him play this track, and I just come and I sing with that, and that's that. I just pay the producer. I don't have to pay the whole band and wonder about the whole band and all of that. That's the part in that. But here's the thing. If you look at many of the biggest events, many of those have live bands, because live music, as Positive Radiation rightfully said there, live music hits different. You look even at those hip-hop artists, you look at a Jay-Z live concert, you look at Kanye West Sunday live concert, those guys thank you for the hat and mustache, but I already have the mustache. But you look at those guys live concerts and they would have a live drummer, live bass man, even with the track playing, because the emotion you get from the live music is different. So I fully agree with you. I find they should go back to that more. That's why I actually said it earlier. If you're looking for a base to talk about for modern soca music, the idea I spoke about was the 3-0 rhythm back in a couple years ago with Marshall and his 3-0 song, and Benjai had his song on that too. That was a live rhythm song, and the rhythm sold out for that year because it had that feel for it. So I agree with you. I don't disagree at all there. And you're seeing the loss out of everything for that.
Yeah, I mean, that's how we are coming from. Yeah, but
So what are you coming to say, Ronnie? With your heavy tongue. Nyla, yeah. I know very well. Yep.
And I'll be, thank God. I hope this kicking, but it's not so easy. Last year I don't know if you saw it, but this boy, Travis, what should I call his name? I don't know if I can call his name. It was on Facebook. Travis will come out and say, oh, Trinity bad music allow for certain artists to be as vulgar as they want. And I had to think to myself, I never listened to Spyro and them. I never listened to what is his name, boy? The next one, oh gosh. Sing that passionate and all kind of thing. Crazy and them. That music was vulgar. Shit, I'm drunk. Yeah. That music was real vulgar. But what they lack is the creativity to make something innocent sound vulgar. All I want to say, jam it, and push it up. And well, I want to see.
The thing is, it's not vulgar. They're more modern. Modern is more raw. It's more crass. They don't hide it as much. But To me, it's not surprising. That's how generations work. If the previous generation allowed vulgarity but allowed it under hidden guise, the younger generation is going to do it more boldly. That's just the reality of life. So to me, we can't fully complain about the vulgarity when it's something we encouraged in the previous generation. You're just trying to tell them, no, you all are doing it too raw. It just doesn't work like that. If you allow vulgarity, then you allow vulgarity. If you don't, then you don't. That to me, here's my thing. I don't like the idea. I like with the Trinidad talk and stuff. Like some people are talking about that. I don't even like the idea of trying to police art too much. And here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Trinidad isn't a bit corrupt and doesn't probably do some bad things to our society. But I think art is a reflection. It's a representation of the society, of the culture. So maybe what we need to do is use the art to investigate the culture. We're looking at the Trinidad and use Trinidad to investigate the culture in the less fortunate places of Trinidad and Tobago. There are some places where the struggle had them creating religious old hymns. The slaves were out there struggling real hard in poor, tough areas and singing "Wade in the Water." So what was the cultural difference that created that versus that? It's not that you want to kill the art of what it's creating, but understand what is the reason for it being created that way. As for Trinidad allowing artists to be more vulgar, I don't think it's like the artists were lacking outlets for their vulgarity. I don't think that is it. The Trinidad allows indisciplined young men to show their lack of discipline in their art. It's like Trinidad to me is like the bad children in school drawing penises and middle fingers in the toilet, on the toilet wall, and some of them were pretty good at drawing it too, you know. Some of them were pretty good at drawing some lifelike businesses out there, but it's just the expression of their indiscipline, and they're expressing it outwardly. It's not that you know, it was like we were repressed in this country. We couldn't say how many men's skull we wanted to fold in, and now we get a chance to do it. No, it's not that. It's no kind of repression, something there. Trinidad exists because there are some violent Trinis making music. Full stop. Correct. Like you belong in. All of them was slack. No, I was reading. Instagram I was reading. And a black man keen I putting on a Chinese man I weak still. I suppose those are double entendre songs. Yeah, those songs. So we praise hip hop and dancehall, but Trinidad is an issue. By the way, I'm not a fan of Trinidad. Music is a reflection of us. I don't. You see, DJ David, I made a video about this a while back where I actually pointed out the similarity between the hip hop culture and the Trinidad culture down here. If you look at the hip hop drill rap culture in the United States, it's very similar, very mirroring, in fact, to the Trinidad culture. The amount of artists getting killed, the fact that the artists weren't artists first, they were bad boys first, who came into the studio secondary. It's the same thing. And the thing is, the scary part in this is that these guys aren't ignorant to that fact. You look at these guys, the Trinidad local guys, and you see them talking about OTF and ABG and that kind of stuff. Those aren't local creations, you know. The OTF gang is, what's this guy named? The Voice from Chicago. Oh gosh, one of the few that's still alive. Lil Durk. The OTF is Lil Durk and those guys. ABG was a Canadian group associated with a Toronto rapper. Those things, and these guys are talking about it here. They are literally mirroring the what do they call that? Drill rap. The drill rap scene in the United States, in Chicago, Atlanta, and New York. These guys are literally mirroring it. They are doing it on purpose. So it's not that I glorify one and frown at the other. It's true. Yes, I know what ABG means. Yes, I know. And it's not a local creation. It was, as I told you, from a Toronto gang originally. OTF only the fam. from a Chicago gang. I see people in locally talking about King Von and long live this one, replacing names. King Von, a Chicago legendary rapper who was a criminal known to have killed at least 7 or 8 people at least, known for fact, and he was murdered. So these guys are mirroring these things that have happened before. So it's not something unknown, and that's what I'm saying. I don't think that we could mute the Trinidad, ban it, and make all of this disappear. No, that won't work. They're expressing their reality.
I'm not saying that Trinidad ban it. I say like fact that I talk in this fella who I don't know just do something. The fact that he and other new soca artists and them using that to say like, you know, get the license to be vulgar and to, be as rude as we want. Because they were saying soca was so repressive. It couldn't be
rubbish talk.
Rude and all kind of thing. But what he's saying is, look, them fellas used to be rude and lewd. I'm sure I could have still listened to it. I grew up singing is that man song? Congo Man. I grew up singing Congo Man and not even what the hell that man meant. No, it's like it's not nothing to even hide from China anymore.
I don't know what is the full point of what he is saying there. I understand what he is saying, but I don't get the full point of what he's saying. So the soca music was too repressive. Repressive of what? You weren't able to cuss, and if you're not able to cuss in expression of your art, then it represses you. The thing is, you could have made a cuss in soca all the time, you know. There was a man who sang about the King Road, and on the King Road, you could have made all kind of soca if you wanted. It's just that what people want is what people want. The desire people have. So the Trinidad isn't like it created some avenue because people were repressed and had to create. No, it wasn't that. It's that these guys these guys were living this life, and that's just the expression of the life they were living. Trinidad wasn't created for guys like Travis. So that's just that. It's not guys like Travis who are the typical Trinidad singers. If he's a Trinidad singer, they would say he's a pretender. And then, he would have to be very careful in speaking about those things. So here's a reality. Here's something you have to think about. Trinidad uses the reality of the brutal life of poor people. The brutal life of poor people as entertainment value. That's what Trinidad does. Now, if it's the people living in this situation, you'd be like, okay, they're talking about their experiences and they're using that as entertainment value and making money. Okay, understandable. But if someone like him, Travis, who did not grow up in those situations, is talking about, this is our new outlet, and he begins using this as a producer to make more money. These are things where people start to call you a culture vulture. People start to wonder about what you are stripping away from people. So I think he needs to thread that line very carefully, he himself.
I don't think he wants to say tricky, but I think he just wants to cuss in music.
Well, cuss in your soca music. You could cuss in your soca music. You can cuss in your soca music. It's just a matter of who would listen to it. And then that's not a matter of the government or any other person. That's a matter of nobody wants to hear your cuss.
I will look for that post.
Yeah, I saw it. I remember it. No, so there's a history of music locally being stuck in a box where certain things could not be said. What do you mean could not be said? Could not be said and played on radio? If that's what you're talking about, I liked when I heard Bounty Killer relate about this story in Jamaica, because in Jamaica their broadcasting overseer, their broadcasting regulator recently came out and said they're now forbidding songs that talk about certain things to be played on the radio. And Bounty Killer came out to say that in reality the songs that they created when they started making those songs in the 80s, they weren't for the radio. They were for the community. They were making songs to talk about certain things that weren't meant to be played on the radio in the first place. Bounty Killer, who you could be talking about as one of the creators of this genre of badman dancehall music. And that's the point he was making. So to say that you could make it but people would repress it, they wouldn't play it on the radios. Young Brother songs weren't playing on the radios for years. It's on the internet. The man made his thing. So to talk about it being repressed because they didn't play it on the radios is rubbish. If your song has quality for over 10 years now, if you could produce quality music, put it online, people will see it online and you could gain popularity there. Trinidad music didn't start off playing on the radio. Rebel 6 and K-Lion and them fellas didn't get popular from playing on the radio. Them fellas got popular from playing in block fetes, from playing in block parties, from playing off a people's phone, from people playing in the schools. So it's I don't understand this repression thing. If you wanted to express what you wanted to cuss about, you live in your nice middle class suburban life and want to cuss in your soca, and you always wanted to do that, you could have recorded that since 2000 and release it. And if people felt like they connected with this cussing soca, well, grand, they would have listened to it. If people felt like this seems distant to me, they would not have listened to it. The people that listen to Trinidad, it's because, and this is the scary part about Trinidad, the reason Trinidad works is because it feels authentic, and because it kind of is authentic. When a guy was on news because someone shot up his car and he barely escaped with his life, and then he comes with a song next month singing about the experience and about how he ain't gonna forget that and he ain't gonna forgive, and all of them men had to watch the back. It's a compelling story, a compelling narrative, because it feels real. If you just want to sing about cussing in soca and effing so and wine and ja, okay, you could sing about that, but it's if people will relate to it. It's not a matter of being repressed. Who is repressing you? You have your own production house. You could make your rhythm, you could record your song. Who is doing the repression? DJ David says because radio is less relevant now, but not in the past. But you're not understanding, DJ David. Bounty Killer came up in a time when radio was the only way people thought. But those guys didn't, like, I don't know how old you were, but if you're in that kind of dub plate time, those guys played in the parties. They would go down in the backyard party and play, go down in this backyard party and sing, and in this place and sing, go in Sting and sing. So they got street cred, gravitas, as it were. They battled in a street battle, they battled this one in a street. They didn't gain popularity from radio. It wasn't about radio. So I don't know who's repressing you. I don't agree with your perspective. Bounty Killer is Jamaican. What's the difference? Ask she if she ever... Okay. Different market and culture. True, different market and culture. True, but what the Trinidad market, evidently, there are some people who like Trinidad music. Do you think if you ban Trinidad music from the radio, people will stop listening to it? Do you think so? I don't. That's not going to... That horse has bolted out of the stable long time. You are not getting that genie back in the bottle, and I'm crossing up my metaphors here. You are not getting that genie back in the bottle. And if there is obviously the market for it outside of the radio, what is the difference in the Trinidad market and culture that somehow people were able to repress you? You were able to be repressed. How did Young Brother make it? I could tell you, I don't know if I ever heard a Young Brother song on radio. I don't even listen to radio that much, to be very honest. But Young Brother play, you know where Young Brother playing the most? Where I heard probably the most Young Brother? Them youth men on their bikes with their little phone and the speaker on the back of the bike. Them playing all the Young Brother mixes. All the Young Brother mixes they playing. Here's the thing. There were some men at one point in time who understood, okay, my way to undercut this market, I'm going to give my song to all the street hawkers. Let them play the music in all the cities so everyone knows my song. There are different ways to do that. I don't understand who is repressing you in that sense. Personally, I don't. Travis is speaking based on the past and now. But I understand that the radio doesn't play certain songs. I get that. But I don't understand who was repressing soca cussing. Like, was it that producers wouldn't produce if you cussed in soca? And then I don't understand how Travis could say that him being a producer. He is a producer. Like, I don't know how many of you understand how recording works. He has the equipment. I'm pretty sure he has a studio. You can go to him, record in his studio. He makes up the song there, masters the song right there, and he could give you it from right there. So where's the repression happening? Young brother out in the marsh grad this year. Kilvon says young brother and his partner dancing on the side of the road with number one ain't bad. It's now Trinidad vintage. Yes, number one, you're not bad. Number two, everybody. Alright, let me do get into that. But that song never played on radio. That song didn't play on radio. But the man forced himself into the Trinidad musical landscape. Listen, I think everybody wanted to repress Young Brother. The amount of people I've heard say that Young Brother sings retarded nonsense. I've heard so many people say that. But he forced himself out there.
Young brother, listen, I will come and dance on one of your.
Yeah, like DJ David, if you want to join in, the usual place to join in is over on TikTok. That's just the disadvantage Instagram has. I'm not sure if it would be ideal to have conversations going on the TikTok and on the Instagram. So if you have a TikTok, you could join in there. Watch his interview on Chromatic Show. I will watch it. The repression in soca is not about cursing or not. The repression is about who gets airplay or not, and I understand that. That's always the argument. What's the guy? One of those youth men came out this year, one of the up and coming soca artists, and was real angry about that. That Turner. That the radios aren't playing his songs, and that is true. It's true in all radio. It's not just something in Trinidad. It's not just something in soca. It's not just something. Gospel singers get it. Go talk to some of the Trinidad gospel singers and see they talk about the same thing in gospel radio. Christian, good people music. I'm sure there's that in the Indian music realm too. I'm sure there are some people creating chutney songs that don't get played on the radio and they're blue mad about it. There is a reality side where there are so many songs and just limited radio time, so there's that side of it. And then there's the urban radio model, where their model attempts to create hits. Their model is based on creating hits and having a cycle. So they would have 5 songs that they want to play the most during this cycle and all of that kind of rubbish. To me, I find that is nonsense. I think it's obsolete. I think urban radio should die because of how they have that kind of function. To me, if you have good songs, play all of your good songs. Don't repeat the songs ad nauseum. I don't like that idea, but I understand they have their way they run. Who here has worked radio, as in they actually understand radio programming? I understand radio programming. I've been on the radio before. I prefer Young Brother vibe over Trinidad every day. I'm still not really a fan. Kinda me too. When you say have you ever done radio, do you mean have I ever been there for a shift? Yes, I've been there. If you mean have I ever been hired as a radio host or a DJ, all the gospel stations I've been on. I've been on all the gospel stations. I've been on I-95. I've been on Ebony. A couple others. I can't remember all.
Yes, I could well dance.
Greetings, Canute, in the name of the Imperial Majesty.
This week, today I was the entertainment at the food fest. I had the party for pick up the whole of California. I don't know my name, and I had some people from California.
You in Central? You in Central, Ronnie?
No, not California. They are California. I said the state of California. And Tobago. You know I'm meant to be. Come on.
Yes, DJ David, I understand it. I do understand it. All right, people. Look at the time. What?
I don't like what everything.
What's that?
I know you read no. The I don't understand, you know. I really don't understand. So Tobago and Mass Association President ever come out Monday it was and take over. She had a meeting with the Secretary of Tourism. I think it was tourism. I want to say tourism. And she told the secretary that they did not have it. Which is true. Because I talked to a few of the first two, which is I call it nobody. Say that say not giving support to Crown because it's a private entity. And I like come out private to private and you know what the president and the master and associate whatever her name is. I forget her name. I read the article. Oh, she feels so well. Okay, that's not the word she used, but she said basically that the secretary lied to her because the secretary said that not going to give any support to
Yeah, bad Louis on him.
and I say that good for them because Crown going to do the thing private. They did not get any help from the THA, probably they get very little help from the
Will do, DJ David, will do. Go ahead.
huh?
Go ahead, I was talking to somebody else. Go ahead.
That's not the biggest Crown and the jury still wasn't nothing to talk actually. One time on this. But I'm vexed. I hate when people do that kind of thing, but you basically conspiring against people. Because you want to think if your product was good, now come to Scarborough to do it. But your product not good. That's why nobody not coming to Crown Point to Scarborough, they're coming to Crown Point.
To me, I find the government shouldn't even be in those discussions. That is not the government business. The government business in that is making sure that the police there to protect the people. The government business in that is probably if they need some kind of licenses or whatever. But the government shouldn't be involved too much in that. You want to host your event. Make sure your event entertaining and let the people come and pay their money for it. I don't know what the government business is supposed to be in that.
And they show that, that's why I say.
Tell her what, DJ David. Tell her what. No, somebody over on Instagram there say they say they have a message for you. They say tell her this, and I'm waiting to see what they have for me to tell you.
But yeah, look how them come out and there was the sun up on the own peak, and it still had a lot of people come out and support. Granted, Tobago was empty for the whole carnival. Tobago could have flown away this carnival, but still get the support and plenty of people went out to the shoe. And they didn't get no help, and I like that. They went for help and then make them mad.
DJ David says good thing doesn't sell. Whether it's good or not is not a selling point. Out here is popularity. KFC is not the best chicken, but it is the most popular. DJ David, I'd say you are partially right. But it's not just about good and popular. It's about consistency. I always talk about this with the local parlors. We trainees, you know what a parlor is? The local corner shop. You look at our local parlors, I always look at this. The local parlors versus the Chinese groceries and Chinese mini-marts that open. Our local parlors open, and these people expect like they open a small mini-mart today and they'll be a millionaire by next month. And they're opening the mini-mart they start off opening 5:30 in the morning and closing 8:30, 9 o'clock in the night. Then they change the hours. Now they're opening 9 o'clock for in the morning and they're closing from 3 in the afternoon to go and pick up the child. And then sometime I come 9 o'clock and you're not open. The first time I come 9 o'clock and you're not open, all right. The second time I come 9 o'clock and you're not open, I'm not coming back by you. But I know I could go 9:45 every night, including a holiday night, out by Chin and them. And they're going to be open. And that's why you look 10 years down the road and the Chinese groceries are massive. They're expanding and you're like, how this happen? And the Trinidad shops and Trinidad parlors are closing down and shrinking. Consistency. Many people are not consistent. You selling real good fried chicken that could beat KFC, but you only selling every other Friday, and sometimes you don't come out. Roni herself told me about this. She says she's baking for someone, and sometimes she move like a drug addict with the baking. Only go when she need a little money. And I'm sure you would understand, Roni, if you're doing that, you obviously wouldn't get as big as someone who is consistent. There are some bakers out there in the Trinidad and Tobago landscape. I don't want to call no names. You all could call names if you want. I'm not calling no names. Who their cakes aren't all of that, but they are consistent. Every day they will bake and they will post something. There are some people in the online scope that the content they make online is rubbish. They make garbage. But yet they have a lot of followers because they're always posting. They are consistent on that. They're consistent. And then they're not consistent over a week. Some people think consistent and they're thinking a week. They're thinking a month. They're thinking a year. I'm talking a decade. I'm talking 2 decades. So you're talking about good product. If you have a good event and it's good this year and only 5 people came, but it was really good this year, next year, you're going to at least get the 5 who came coming back, and they're surely going to invite some people. And the next year, you still mightn't sell off. The next year, you still mightn't sell off, but you're on a trajectory like this. So if you look at what's this Island Crashers, that Tobago event that seemed like it was taken over before COVID come and hit. Island Crashers was growing year on and year on and year on. And Island Crashers isn't something that is obvious would work easily. Island Crashers, you're looking to get young children. I'd say children, that's the target audience. Kind of 16 to 20 is kind of the target audience of Island Crashers. You're looking to get them, to get their parents to pay to go and spend a weekend in Tobago alone. But they do. And they're growing bigger and bigger because each year you do that successfully, the next year. So this year, when I was in Form 5, my mother told me I couldn't go. But my good friend who was in Form 6, they graduated and they went and they came back and they had all the pictures and their parents told my parents it was okay and it didn't have no big thing and it was safe and ting and ting and ting. So next year, you know what happened then? That's how those things go. So I agree it is about popularity. And in the next 20 years, when it's popular, people will just go to the more popular one. But it didn't start off as popularity. Popularity is a factor, but usually popularity is built on years and years and years of consistency. Obviously, DJ David, consistency doesn't guarantee success. So yes, you are right. It isn't guaranteed. But here's the thing. Having sex doesn't guarantee making a baby. But you don't make a baby without having sex. So consistency isn't going to guarantee your success. Granted, it's not a guarantee. But if you want success, it's nearly impossible to get it any other way than being consistent. And if you have not been consistent over a lengthy enough period of time, you cannot complain that you are not successful yet. You understand? If this is the second year and you're barely consistent with your product, to say that I'm not getting success, you're not yet at that level. You're not yet at that level. 10 years down the road, you've given consistent quality and your product is still failing, come and complain to me and I'll listen to all of your complaints. And that might be the case. Colyman Co-op, I'm not reading that what you typed there. About what happened in the villa is good for that. Consistency is a byproduct of repeating a task over time. No, consistency is how you repeat a product over time. That's the problem there, DJ David. You're thinking about that reversed. Consistency isn't what you get as the product happens to repeat. Nothing happens to happen. It's work, it's diligence and discipline to make sure you keep doing these actions, and that is what the consistency is. And when you have that consistency, you would have a product repeating over time. Consistency is what creates that. Just it doesn't magically happen and you get consistency. You see, some people often have, and I was talking to a friend of mine. I saw them make a post about success, and the secrets of success is having rich parents or some kind of idiotic nonsense like that. And I was very upset at that, because the reality is the secret to success, yes, having access to resources previously is a benefit, but that's not what creates success, people. It's the consistency to keep doing the successful acts. That's what creates the successful people. You could give 5 million people $1 million each, and at the end of it, it might only have one people to retain that money, the person who is consistent in doing the successful acts. That's just the reality of it. Consistent at what is another question? For example, people complain about the FET music years now, but go every year. Here's the thing, DJ David. People complain about the music every year, but they're not going every year. You look at the complaints this year, and overall the whole season, there was a serious decrease in patrons. So you're saying they're going every year, but the number is decreasing. So if you're giving them a half-baked product every year, they're not pleased with the product every year, and you're losing 10% of your customer base every year. Within 10 years, 10% every year is down to zero. So what is the bigger selling point? Consistent bad music as a deterrent, or taking a selfie in tribe because it's most popular? Taking a selfie in tribe because it's most popular is more important than the consistent good music. Yes, that's true. But how long has tribe been around?
Yes.
How long have they been doing that? The reason tribe has the prestige is because of the years. I remember someone had a story they told about someone going to Oxford University in England and watching the lawn at Oxford, and they were like, wow, this lawn is so beautiful. And they asked the groundsman, I want this lawn in my house. How did you get it to look like that? And he said 400 years of ruling and cutting. That's just the reality sometimes. If you don't have the time in with the consistency, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that. It's just the time that you have to put in. In Trinidad, the secret to success is who you know. Nepotism rules supreme in Sweet TNT. To some extent, yes. DJ David says music not great, not hating Gene. COVID is a factor now. We can't use this one. How long has the music been bad is my point. Literally over a decade. Yes. But many events with bad music get less and less people in the event over time. It's just how it goes. Events that bust generally continue to bust worse and worse. Events that succeed. So the DJs who are playing the rubbish music are your friends, and they're continuing to play the bad music. I like people always complain about music, but complaining about music is a negligible thing. I leave Bago to play mass with. To play mass with tribe or human. Yeah, that's the thing. They have the time down. They have that consistency. That's what people play.
Next year I go training for carnival for sure.
All right, it's 11:37. I'm going and dance with a Black Chariot playing. All right, people, it's 11:37. It was nice. Let me look to jump out. Hey, speaker disconnect. Let me look to jump out. Have a good night, folks. Have a good night. I'll see you guys for the next Mindful Live, which is going to be tomorrow night at around Thursday night at around that 9:30 p.m. around kind of break. And tomorrow is Thursday Talk. So tonight was kind of Wednesday Talks in a kind of sense. But Thursday is where we really do this, where we just discuss. There's no direct topic. You could jump in the live over there on TikTok and we'll discuss whatever you want to do. Well, within reason, whatever you want to discuss. Respect from Rochester, New York. Oi, big up New Yorker, big up, big up. I'm just saying there are different elements in consistency, hence consistent at what? I agree. There are different elements in consistency. All right, I will see you guys again for the next Mindful Live tomorrow. Until then, I hope you were educated, informed, or entertained, and I will see you guys later. Agreed, DJ David. Agreed.